Do it.
Do it!
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Hello, it's your pal Noms here, with a quick disclaimer before we get the video started. For those of you who don't know, this is a re-upload from my primary channel, Anomaly Inc. You see, on my primary channel, I'm currently in the process of moving all of my gaming content over to this channel, the channel which you are now watching. On my primary channel, I'm trying to keep it exclusive to movies, television series, and just pop culture in general. Whereas having this second channel allows me to reach a dedicated audience that only wants to hear me talk about games. Feel free to head over there once you're done here, or subscribe and check out some of my other videos on this channel for more gaming content. But I do need to make this clear before we begin. This is an old video. I mean, really old. I use an old editing style that I'm not the most proud of, and a lesser microphone which had no pop filter, which, as you can tell by listening to this, has been rectified. What you are currently listening to right now is my most up-to-date audio quality, and it's the audio quality you can expect in my videos that don't have this disclaimer at the beginning. Anyway, thank you for being patient. Prepare for the worst Halo take you will ever likely hear. This is my response to the one and only MovieBob. Hello everyone, welcome back. You're probably wondering why this is being broadcast from the morgue of all places. Well, this video nearly killed me. I was clinically pronounced dead upon watching this because I lost an overwhelming number of brain cells, thanks to MovieBob's absolute retarded sense of reality. Like, this may in fact be the worst fucking video I've ever seen, transcending Patrick H. Willems and Jonathan McIntosh levels of stupidity. Many of you know that I'm not a Red Letter Media fan, but at least those tools can collectively, between the four of their fucking brains, put together a coherent video. Because this video was slapped together by MovieBob and makes absolutely no fucking sense. However, before I continue, I must apologize that this video has remained on YouTube
unchecked, unchallenged,
for 7 full years. But all of that gets rectified today. So as you know, I'm one of the many people on the internet that loves to guzzle the juices of Halo's ballsack all night long. Except for Halo 5. Fuck that shit. And to be perfectly honest, Halo Reach is my most nostalgic Halo, flaws and all. It holds a special place in my heart, and I can't wait for all of you on PC to experience the same joy I felt for years and years whilst playing that game. So to watch this dickhead slander the game and franchise that I love with this bullshit, this political garbage, is honestly sickening to behold. I mean, the last thing 343 needs is to inject more bullshit politics into Halo, but in regards to Halo Reach, there was no forced agenda of any kind. And as a matter of fact, it's one of the games that I'd say best incorporates diversity without throwing a fucking parade for itself based on that aspect. But with all that said, let's waste this piece of shit, shall we? I've raided my capsule in case I can't make it to the end. Okay, how in the ever-living fuck does Escapist have 1 million subscribers? Why is my faith in humanity growing lesser and lesser with each coming day? Fuck you. Yes, this is a game review about Halo Reach. Please don't forget that, ladies and gentlemen. And Combat Evolved is the sequel to Halo Reach, Bob, you fucking airhead. And that's a lot of air, by the way. A lot.
Hey, welcome to my new show. You know, when the Escapists told me they wanted me to do another show for them, I couldn't quite process what was going on.
Yeah, what the fuck were those idiots thinking?
But when they said it could be a show where I just get up on my soapbox and say whatever I want about whatever random nerdy thing is on my mind at the moment, while these pop art representations of my fractured psyche spell out my emotional state, it all became crystal clear. I am working for crazy people.
Escapist is retarded, no one denies that now.
And it's awesome. Now, providing my producers don't experience a sudden moment of clarity as to the dark and terrible force they're about to unleash upon the interwebs, on the big picture we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. TV, science, food, movies, comics, politics, monkeys, whatever.
In other words, shit you know nothing about.
But because I like to make a big entrance, let's kick things off by talking about video games.
1 minute and 3 seconds into this 5-minute review, and now we are going to start talking about video games.
These video games. Alright, so it's no secret in the gaming world that I'm not a big Halo fan, but because some readers kept asking, I did go and give Halo Reach a shot. I'm still not feeling it. Sorry.
Okay, if you're not a fan of something or aren't emotionally pissed off or in love with something, why review it? I can't tell you how many people requested that I go see Godzilla King of the Monsters so that I could review it for them, but I put my foot down and I kindly said no, I will not, because I simply have no interest in it. Meaning the review will likely be very lackluster. Couldn't you have done the same thing in regards to Halo? And if you don't like Halo, that's fine. You should have just left the video here instead of making a total ass out of yourself.
Hey, big ups to Bungie on all that brilliant characterization on Noble Team, though. The girl soldier is a badass, the other badass likes to stand out, the really big guy is actually a big-hearted softie. Hoo-hoo, boy, way to break the mold, fellas.
Yeah, the characters on Noble Team are mostly one-dimensional in the game, but each had traits about them or a speciality which distinguished themselves from one another. For example, Cap, the woman on the team, is a war veteran with a robotic arm, in a fictional time era that's actually appropriate for such a device. But she's also the tech genius on the group, and arguably the second or third most important Spartan in the game aside from Noble 6. George is the gentle giant, but he's also the Reach native of the group. You know, Reach, the planet under siege, the entire premise of the game, and Emil is a wisecracking vicious badass. What's your fucking point, Bob?
But ultimately, it did lead me to a kind of revelation, or at least a notion that had been building up slowly in my subconscious finally broke out and flowered into a full-formed thought.
You have a subconscious? And thoughts? Since when?
The Covenant is so much more interesting and diverse visually than the Spartans are.
That's because Spartans are all human beings, not a race of multiple aliens you sack without the nuts.
Anyone else notice this? Now, to be fair, this makes sense in context. The Spartans are a military outfit specifically raised and scientifically augmented to be largely faceless, emotionless force of living weapons.
Oh, so you did read some Wikipedia. Bravo!
They're a militaristic, quasi-fascist wet dream, basically.
What the fuck? A military, quasi-fascist wet dream? Like the fascist wet dream you've designed this video to be for the other side of the spectrum? Bob, what the fuck do fascists have to do with Spartans? Spartans are super soldiers with their roots ingrained in tragedy. Their original purpose was to quell human rebellion, sure, but once the Covenant started murdering billions, there were tasks with halting their galactic genocide and the destruction of the human race, you dumb cunt. And Spartan 3s, the majority of soldiers that make up Noble Team, were designed specifically for Covenant suicide missions, primarily, not human rebellion. And one of the high points that everyone remembers fondly about the game Halo Reach was how each Spartan or Noble Team modified their armor to look diverse and distinguished from one another, and Bungie gave you the ability to be a male or a female and customize your armor how you see fit, so you can see your Spartan in that way, how you envision it, however you want, during the campaign, firefight, and multiplayer. Again, if you actually fucking played the game, you would know this.
Right down to being named after the society that wrote the book on militaristic quasi-fascist wet dreams.
Yeah, they were based off ancient Sparta. Ancient Sparta. Ancient.
This stuff has been the lifeblood of the military sci-fi genre ever since Starship Troopers, except there, the Space Marine guys were up against an enemy whose collective insect hive mind makeup made them even more faceless and anti-individualist, so it kinda balanced out.
That made no fucking sense. Are you gonna get back to talking about Halo Reach? Please?
But in Halo, look who fights for the Covenant. Big guys, little guys, creatures from tons of different worlds in every color of the spectrum. I mean, just look at all these dudes for a minute. It's like Reach is being invaded by a Benetton ad from space.
Yeah, the Covenant come in a diverse range of shapes and sizes, multiple different races. It's cool. It's one of the reasons why they're fun to fight. What's your point?
In terms of diversity, the Covenant makes the Planeteers look like the KKK. And of course, these are the bad guys.
No, what the fuck is how you don't have a fucking clue? What are you talking about, you fat piece of shit? The Covenant are led by religious fanatics that have enslaved other races and are now waging genocide upon the human race. Yes, Bob, they are the bad guys indeed. But in actuality, Bungie and 343 had made efforts to show there is bad and good on both sides of the human and Covenant. As a matter of fact, the Sangheili, when divorced from the Covenant, are a proud, independent race of aliens who live sentient lives and have families of their own. You would know this if you actually played more than 5 minutes of Halo Reach, which I'm sure you didn't even play to begin with. Admittedly, yeah, you gotta kind of read the books and the external source material, but that isn't too hard to get your hands on. Or hell, just watch a fucking YouTube video. See, I've been a fan of Halo for about 17 years at this point, so I can tell you just read a Wikipedia summary now and you're just spouting nonsense.
Yeah, I know, all these different species come from different worlds because they were conquered and converted by the Covenant, so it's mainly diverse because it's essentially a slave army, which is of course supposed to remind us in part of another famous multinational slave army that went to war with another bunch of guys called Spartans. But come on, how many people actually play Halo for the context? But come on, how many people actually play Halo for the context?
Everyone with more than 2 functioning brain cells plays Halo's campaign and can gather the context. That is, if we exclude Halo 5, of course. Which you didn't play, obviously, just like you didn't play any of the other games with stories that are actually worth a fuck. The fact that you think nobody plays Halo for the context is a wonder you haven't been castrated by law for your level of sheer stupidity.
Think about how this looks when viewed in the macro. Militaristic culture visibly pretext on submission of individual self to quasi-fascist collective equals good. Multiple races and species working together to a common goal equals evil.
Yeah, they are committing galactic genocide in the name of religious fanaticism, you fucking baboon. In what warped fucking realm is that not considered evil to you? To be fair, like I said, the majority of the Covenant aren't explicitly evil. They are being led by false prophets. They think they are doing the divine's work, again, adhering to religious fanaticism. Committing evil acts, yes, but not for the sake of being evil, so to speak. Still, it's hard to sympathize with a cluster of alien races that have killed billions, if not trillions, of innocents. See this image? This basically sums up a galactic-scale ethnic cleansing. But yeah, MovieBob thinks Bungie is fascist for portraying them as the bad guys.
I mean, when the skinheads and neo-Nazi bigots in general talk down about how diversity is bad and you shouldn't mix the races, isn't this usually the basis of their crazy argument that mixed societies or mud races or whatever they call them tend to be these destructive, unclean hordes, while pure cultures emphasizing sameness and conformity are superior?
I don't make political videos because I'm not, as of right now, very educated on politics, and my audience doesn't want me to talk about politics either. However, one of the main reasons why I don't make political videos is so I don't do what you're doing right now because you are talking entirely out of your ass.
Look, I'm not here to accuse Bungie of promoting fascism, especially since what we do see of Spartan creation does cast the whole thing in an air of morally ambiguous gray, and holy crap! Wait, can we go back to that? Did his eyes just turn blue? So hold up, you got this young guy with the conspicuously well-shaved head getting turned into the ultimate human weapon, and you know it worked because his eyes are blue now? Bungie, that's some pretty scary unintended symbolism there.
Are you mentally fucking retarded? Who cares what color his eyes change to? How about they change to red? Will you shut the fuck up then? It's portrayed in the cutscene as it's portrayed in the books. The augmentations enhance Spartan eyes as well. Their eyesight basically becomes the equivalent of cat vision, so they can see in the dark and exponentially more clearly. That's why it turns blue. Christ, we've gotten to the point where such minuscule fucking creative decisions, such as eye color, are being correlated with fascism by clowns like this jackass on the internet. And this video was made and left unchallenged for 7 fucking years. No wonder this shit's gotten worse.
This is some kind of self-parody, right? Right?
Please tell me that this video is a fucking parody before I kill myself again.
Okay, maybe that's taking it too far. The show is called The Big Picture, after all, and in this case, the big picture isn't the creepy fascist undertones in Halo, or the rather embarrassingly vast pantheon of Heinlein wannabe Space Marine stories. It's the fact that this primitive tribalistic idea of the pure and thus noble monoculture under threat by multiculture is still so tragically pervasive in the human imagination that it even crops up here. Which is especially ironic since the whole idea of the Covenant as bad guys is supposed to be critical of blind loyalty to arcane belief systems. Why does some part of our collective psyche still fear the concept of racial or cultural mixing?
We don't. And neither did Bungie with Halo Reach, you dumbass. The Spartans were indoctrinated at a young age, sure, but they were a tiny portion of human beings. Not entire races enslaved and indoctrinated to conduct galactic genocide for religious fanaticism, you absolute tool.
And why is it so ingrained that we hardly even notice it anymore? More importantly, why aren't we more inclined to try noticing it, and even getting rid of it?
Because only a fucking moron looking for attention or to slander someone else's work would ever stoop to such lengths as to say Halo is racist because human beings are fighting for survival. And yeah, that's pretty much how you can sum up this video in general. Halo isn't diverse enough. Despite there being women and minority Spartans, female commanders, good female commanders, and black sergeant badasses. Hell, even the machinery is female. Does anyone have an issue with it? No. Because we aren't mentally retarded, borderlining on the psychopathic, Bob. Halo is about humanity coming together to fight for survival. All kinds of humanity, all races of humanity. You're trying to label Bungie as this fascist group that tried to portray humanity as this Nazi-like cult against a multi-diverse culture, and that they, by definition, should be the good guys because they are made up of multiple races, and not just one race. If there was a scale for dumb fuckery, this video would shatter it.
I'm Bob, and that's The Big Picture.
Yes, this video was done by MovieBob. Never forget, MovieBob, this guy, made this video. Anyway, yeah, that's the entire video. It was a 5-minute video that acted like it was going to be a Halo Reach review, but said absolutely nothing of substance about Halo Reach, and instead tricked the audience into watching 5 minutes of some psychopathic political agenda for some fascist bullshit that wasn't even there. Like I said, one of the worst videos I've ever seen. You have been avenged, my friend. You have been avenged. Hope you all didn't lose too many brain cells while enduring that utter dog shit with me, but I appreciate you taking the time. Now you're all probably wondering how I survived a shot to the face.